Welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing a video that I am very excited about. It's my first music themed video on this channel, and it's gonna be just me talking about some of my favorite albums. It was gonna be sort of in the style of like a my top 10 favorite albums ever video, but I didn't really feel like confining myself to just 10, although I think actually I might have ended up with exactly 10. But I didn't feel like making this video overly long, so I just collected some of my favorite albums ever that I also happen to have on CD, just to refine it a little bit. I also realized in the process of preparing for this video that I've lost a couple of CDs over the years, so hopefully I find those so that I can talk about those with you guys as well. I'm also going to a birthday party right after this, and I decided to dress up a little bit like Natalie Portman from Closer, so I didn't want you guys to think that this is the way I wear my makeup all the time. But anyway, let's jump right into it. I'm just very excited to finally be talking about music. I say finally, even though this is literally like my third video ever, so. The first album I want to talk about is Light Me Up by The Pretty Reckless. Myself and my bandmate both love The Pretty Reckless. It's neither of our favorite bands, but it probably is the band that we're the closest to when we talk about what kind of music we want to make. We've covered so many of their songs on our YouTube channel, and actually I just realized that most of the albums I'm going to be talking about, we've covered at least one or two songs from on the channel. So I think I'm gonna link some of those videos down below, maybe one from each band. So if you're interested in our take on any of those songs, you can go check it out. Yeah, Light Me Up, The Pretty Reckless's first album. I got this CD back when I was in high school. It was actually a gift from my bandmate, Monica. Definitely one of my qualifiers for a favorite album has to be that I do enjoy every single song, otherwise I just can't consider it a favorite. If you've never heard it before, it's rock, it's grungy, there's no screaming though, if that's something you're worried about. There are a couple of softer songs as well, which is nice. I've actually contemplated doing a cover of Nothing Left to Lose on the channel. If I had to name a favorite song from this album, I would probably say Make Me Wanna Die or the title song, Light Me Up, but I do love the bridge of Going Down. I love every song on every one of these albums, so when I talk about favorites, it's just the one that personally appeals to me the most. The next album I want to talk about is Elephant by the White Stripes. I got this album also when I was back in high school, probably in 9th grade. The way our band first started out was that it was a large group of friends and we all wanted to be in a band. Of course we never actually did anything about it because we were 14, we were oh, we want to be in a band. But for a short period of time we did try getting together for band practice, and one of the members wanted to cover Seven Nation Army. And I had honestly never really heard the White Stripes before, so I just went to Best Buy and bought the album, which was a bit of a risk. I'm realizing now I might have hated it, but I didn't. I loved it. Obviously, like I said, Seven Nation Army is on here, but my favorite song is probably Little Acorns. It's just such a weird song. The first time I listened to the album all the way through, I was listening to it on my stereo and I thought the radio had accidentally turned on or something. That one's really fun. I also really like Hypnotize. The next album I'm talking about is called Ode to Ocracy, and it's by Mando Dio or Mando Deo. They're a very small Norwegian or Swedish band, and even though I've loved this album for 8 years, I still have not figured out how to pronounce their band name, and I feel so bad about this. After I film this video, I'm probably going to go online once again and try to find out how to say their band name. But yeah, this is also a rock album. I also got this album when I was in high school. A close friend of mine at the time, who is definitely not a friend now, introduced me to this band, and I actually have some kind of funny, cringy stories about her relating to this band. Even though they're not from America, they do still sing in English. I really love their just kind of pure rock sound. They have soft songs, of course. I would say my favorite songs from this album is either going to be Josephine, which is one of the softer songs, or Lustful Life, which is the complete opposite. It's one of their faster songs. It's just super fun for me. There's songs off their other albums that I really love as well though. Sheepdog is a song I know I really like. I can't think of any others right now, and I'm filming on my phone so I can't look it up, but definitely if you're looking for a kind of unknown band to get into, if you're into rock music at all, definitely check them out. The next album I'm going to talk about is a slight departure from the rock albums that I've been talking about so far. We have Regina Spektor, Far. This is an album that I got into back in middle school, I think. I remember specifically listening to this when I was in 7th or 8th grade. It's a lot of really odd, quirky, kind of sad songs, and that, of course, as a depressed teenager, really appealed to me. I have this sort of fond nostalgic affection for all the songs on this album, so it's hard for me to like pick a favorite, but ones that do still appeal to me years later are One More Time with Feeling and Human of the Year. If you've never listened to Regina Spektor before, she really does just like sit down at the piano and take you to like another world entirely with each song. You kind of just get dropped into the middle of like somebody's story with each song, and it's a nice way to just like escape, but you can also relate to their stories at the same time. The next album we're gonna talk about, it's Awaken My Love by Childish Gambino. I love this album in the same way that I love Regina Spektor and the music she does, and how odd it is, but how unique, and like how it creates a certain feeling. Like, that's the same way I love this album. I'd never listened to Childish Gambino before. I'm not super into like rap music. I don't have anything against the style. It's just that I think I don't have anyone in my life who can like give me a good introduction to what I should listen to based on my tastes, so I've never really gotten into it. Plus, I've kind of stayed away from it for the same reason I've mostly stayed away from like metal. I'm super into lyrics. I super connect with the lyrics of a song, and if someone is singing in a way where I can't like listen to or hear the lyrics, I just cannot connect with a song. But yeah, I listened to this about a year and a half ago. I was a dog walker at the time, and I had an early morning, like hour-long dog walk. I had been hearing so much about the album, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna put it on and listen to it. And I didn't know it, but that was the perfect way to listen to this album. It is such a sonic experience. He just takes you on this journey through your ears, and that sounds so weird, but that's exactly what it is. And I loved it so much. I listened to it basically like beginning to end with almost no interruptions through headphones, so I could like really like feel like the music was a part of me, and it was just amazing. When it comes to this album, if you have not heard it, I highly suggest just listening to it instead of like picking out a specific song, even though honestly most of you will probably have heard Redbone through the radio, but that's even the shortened version. The version on the album is like an extra couple minutes longer because of course they cut out the outro and stuff. And there's so many different musical influences on this album. It just feels like if you are a fan of the music, I feel like you will like this album. My favorite songs on this album are California and the very first song, Me and Your Mama. The next album I want to talk about is actually two albums, and this is very near and dear to my heart. We are talking about Badlands and Room 93 by Halsey. I absolutely love Halsey. I'm really gonna try to shorten what I say, because if I start talking about how much I love Halsey, we are never gonna get out of here. Suffice it to say, I got into her music about 4 years ago. Started following her on Instagram in January of 2015, and then a couple months later I was like, well, I might as well listen to her music, and I listened to it, and I actually did not like it at first, but for some reason it stuck in my brain. I ended up listening to it again, and I really enjoyed it. This was just a few months after she had put out Room 93, so that was all I had to listen to, plus the like unreleased version of New Americana. And that's why I think Room 93 will always have like a very special place in my heart, because it's always like the true Halsey album for me, you know, it's what I started with. I have the album on CD and on vinyl, and I actually made sure to get the original CD copy with this cover. And when it comes to Room 93, I would probably say Is There Somewhere is my favorite song. Badlands is also a very important album to me. Since I live in LA, I was actually able to go to the Badlands Air pop-up and the Badlands release show, and that was such an experience, but I won't talk about that here. I love so many songs off of this album, but Strange Love was my absolute favorite that I'd never heard before when I first listened to the album, and I also really love Drive and Control. So many of these things I could expand more on, but Drive is just a song that like when I heard it, it literally felt like it was about my life. But I also love Hurricane and Hold Me Down, and yeah, all of them. You'll notice I don't have Hopeless Fountain Kingdom on this list, and while I do own it on CD and I do really like a lot of the songs, putting Quavo on Lie just means that the replay value is completely diminished for me. I can't go back and listen to the album all the way through without skipping over something, and that just makes it not one of my favorite albums, unfortunately. But the last band I'm going to talk about is Arctic Monkeys. They are pretty much tied with Halsey for my favorite band spot. I have their first 4 albums here ready to talk about. I also own AM on CD, but I have no idea where it is. And I like these ones a little bit more, so I figured I'd just stick to 4 for now. If you're into rock music but you've never listened to Arctic Monkeys before, you have to listen to them. You might have heard a couple of their like mainstream songs on the radio, but you have not heard Arctic Monkeys until you listen to some of their earlier work. I'm not one of those people who's going to say that their newer work is bad, but each album is such its own era that you have to do a little taste of each one. Their first album, Whatever People Say I Am, That's What I'm Not, is so much like young people just bumming around England and like trying to figure out what they're going to do with their lives. My favorite songs are A Certain Romance and Dancing Shoes. Their second album, Favorite Worst Nightmare, is so interesting. Like the first 4 or 5 songs just completely blend seamlessly from one song to another. You've probably heard 505 or Fluorescent Adolescent, but my favorite is the very first song on the album, Brian Storm. I want to learn how to play it on drums, but if you've heard the song, you know that that's not an easy feat. Their third album, Humbug, is pretty similar to their second album, but it doesn't feel like it's repeating itself. My favorite songs are Cornerstone and Dance Little Liar. And at last, we have their fourth album, Suck It and See. This might be my favorite of the 4 I have here, but I'm not going to say that definitely. I do have a lot of favorites from this one. Reckless Serenade, the title song, Suck It and See, and That's Where You're Wrong are all really, really good. But yeah, I think that's it for today. I do have many more favorite albums that I'd like to talk about in the future, so if you'd like to see a part 2 to this, definitely let me know. As you saw here, I could talk about music for ages, but I hope this gives you a little insight into my musical tastes. I definitely prefer rock and punk, but I will not close myself off to like any music at all. I will listen to anything. And definitely tell me about your favorite bands in the comments below. Do you enjoy the albums I've listed here? Are you going to listen to anything because I recommended it to you? Do you hate any of the albums I've listed here? I don't know, just talk to me about music. I will definitely respond. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and definitely subscribe if you want to see me talk about music more, because I'm going to be doing a lot of that in the future. And I'll see you soon. Bye!